I turned my old iMac into an external monitor with a hidden MagSafe charger. In this video, I will show you the entire build process. This is a G4 iMac from 2002. It is one of the most unique looking products from Apple. I always wanted one, and I was able to buy this a few months ago. This computer is quite rare in Eastern Europe, so it was not easy to find one. The iMac has a 15-inch screen, a single-core CPU with 800 MHz clock speed, and a GPU from NVIDIA with 32 MB of RAM. It doesn't have Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, but it does have an old-fashioned optical CD drive. Unfortunately, it is not working. Instead of fixing it, I want to turn it into an external monitor by changing the screen to a bigger one. I also want to replace the old CD drive with a retractable MagSafe charger, so I can charge my phone and then hide the charger inside the computer case. Firstly, I disassembled the iMac very carefully. This was the easiest part. Then I had to face the first problem, the new screen. The original screen was 15 inches wide and had a weight of 2.3 kilograms. I wanted a bigger screen with a higher resolution, a VISA mount in the center and no bezels. To achieve this, I had to design and 3D print an adapter to connect the arm to the VISA pattern on the new screen. After printing the part, I assembled the arm with the newly printed VISA adapter. Then I began searching for lightweight monitors. I found a 22-inch Full HD screen from AOC that weighed exactly 2.3 kilograms, and the arm was able to support it. I tried heavier screens, but the arm couldn't handle the extra weight. The weak point is the small torsional spring, which is responsible for maintaining the tilt angle. I believe it is not possible to add heavier screens without completely sacrificing the arm's motion. To better match the iMac's white theme, I added the white sticker to the lower bezel later. The first problem was solved, now I had to face the second problem, hiding the monitor cables. I had to remove the old cables from the arm. I was very careful, but I think it is not possible to remove them without damaging the old cables. After that, I had to fit the HDMI and power cables into the arm. I tried to use a USB-C to HDMI cable, but even the USB-C connector was too wide for the arm. The only option left was to cut the HDMI and power cables, thread the cables through the arm, and then add new connectors. Fortunately, the power cable was very simple with only 2 wires. I connected the cables and hoped for the best. And it worked. Now I had to focus on the third problem, the slider mechanism. I wanted a retractable MagSafe charger that could be hidden inside the case, taking the place of the old CD drive. Initially, I tried to modify an old CD drive, but I quickly realized that wouldn't work, so I had to design it from scratch. I was completely new to 3D printing and 3D modeling, so the process was quite challenging. To save time and avoid the complexities of 3D printing gears, I decided to use Lego gears and the Lego motor. The only drawback is that the Lego motor is quite noisy. Firstly, I added the mounting points to the slider case, then I assembled the slider using 2 Lego axles and a rubber band. The tension in the rubber band makes the MagSafe charger move up when the slider is extended. Then I assembled the motor mount with the help of Lego connectors and added the gears to reduce the speed of rotation. I used the 12 and the 22 gear, a worm gear and gear racks. I tested the mechanism with a manual motor controller, and as you can see here, it worked. When the motor rotates, it moves the slider to the outer position, which opens the CD lid on the iMac's case. The manual motor controller was only a temporary solution. I wanted to replace it with a button and automate the process, which made things much more complicated. I had to face the fourth and most complicated problem: automating the slider. I used an Arduino Nano with an H-bridge motor controller and a button to control the slider. After a lot of experimentation, I connected the components with wires on a breadboard. After that, I wrote the code to monitor the button status. When the button is pressed, the controller sends power to the motor. I didn't want to complicate things with a proximity sensor, so the position is controlled only by the duration of the opening and closing time intervals. For the final assembly, I used double-sided tape to secure the electronics to the top of the slider and carefully screwed the slider into the iMac. Once the assembly was complete, I connected the HDMI, USB-C and power cables to the back of the iMac and the setup was finished. Now let's see if it works. Great, it's working. Let's see the slider in operation again. Now let's take a look at the final result. I'm really pleased with the final look. I think the iPhone complements the old iMac quite well, especially when the phone is in horizontal position and the standby mode is active. Positioning the phone vertically is also an option, letting me change music or reply to messages by working on the iMac screen. Overall, I prefer the horizontal position because it just looks better. I had a great time working on this project and I learned a lot about 3D printing, 3D design and microcontrollers. I hope you enjoyed the video and thanks for watching.